Keeping your business healthy in today's marketplace can be a challenging and overwhelming task. From the threat of litigation inside and outside your organization and the inefficiencies that can rob your bottom line as a result of unproven marketing programs, the deck can be stacked against you. To get ahead of these challenges and stay ahead of your competition, the Bottled Business Sense Show provides practical business solutions that uniquely emphasize key legal principles, management techniques, and marketing strategies to protect and ensure the longevity of your business. You'll learn how to implement marketing and protection principles equal to those used by today's most successful corporations. Join your hosts Bill Bernard, Rick Moscoso, and Steve Smith for some high-energy discussion that will inspire you to take control of your business so it can prosper in today's consistently challenging business environment.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday morning once again. Welcome to another edition of the Bottled Business Sense Show here on Blog Talk Radio, as well as bottledbusinesssenseshow.com. You can watch us in video. You can listen to us purely by audio if you're on Blog Talk Radio. I'm here with my two co-hosts, Rick Moscoso and Steve Smith. We're here every Tuesday to present topics related to business that help you both market and legally protect your business. And we take great pride in what we do, and we love it when our viewers and listeners participate and tune in to hear what we have to say. So without further ado, today's show is going to be about business video marketing, which I think is an important part of your marketing tools. And so let me say a quick good morning to my two co-hosts, Rick and Steve. How are you guys?
Hey, Bill. I'm doing great. Doing great today.
Yeah, Bill, doing good as well. Looking forward to this. I think what Rick's going to share with us is going to help a lot of people because, you know, video is a great tool. It's an essential marketing tool today, but it can be an expensive thing if you don't do it right.
Boy, that's for sure. That's why we have Mr. Moscoso here to focus in on what we do need to do right? So, without further ado, Rick, let's talk a little bit. Let's lead off by saying, you know, let's talk about the primary reason for videos. Some people might suggest that, well, you know, videos are purely a marketing tool. And while some of that may be true, you can use videos for different purposes, but before you decide on a purpose, you're going to have to decide on what equipment and what professional to choose, right?
Yeah, that's right. We talked about this a little. We touched on this a little bit in one of our previous episodes a while ago, and I'm not going to get too much into the equipment. We're going to take the assumption that you have the right equipment already, and if you don't, we can continue the conversation offline. But I'm going to assume that you have a camera, whether it's a high def webcam or a DSLR, some kind of camera. Even, you know, I've even shown people how to do it off of an iPhone or an Android if properly mounted, so it's nice and steady. The location is good. Most importantly, you want a mic that's attached to the phone or to the video camera, not using the audio that's coming from the camera. Because think about it, you've seen too many times in amateur videos where you're watching a video, the camera's 10, 15 feet away. What's the sound going to sound like? It's going to sound like the mic is 10, 15 feet away. And right. So really, you want to portray at least a little bit of professionalism, like you've done the extra step to make it sound good, make it look good, and it's positioned correctly. You've got an appropriate set that you're shooting in. So all those things, we're going to assume that you've done your homework or you've talked to me. And we're going to focus more on the pre-production part of it because I think that
would probably involve necessarily, and I know Steve probably has a lot of commentary on this. That's going to involve choosing and picking out the right script, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, without focus on the pre-production, you know, I only know one person for sure that I can throw a topic at them, and they can do a 3-minute spiel that sounds like it's been rehearsed, you know, for several days. And I only know one guy that can do that. Most of you won't be able to do that. I certainly can't do that without at least having an outline to a script or understanding what's the feeling that I want to evoke? Who is this intended for? What do I want to accomplish with the video that I create for myself? And so all of these different things have heavy weight in not only producing the video, but in the reasons why you're doing it in the first place.
Sounds like you're aiming it towards something that Steve knows a lot about, and that you got to know your niche, right? Who you're aiming that video at, right? Right, Steve?
Yes. Video is just another form of content marketing. Instead of having somebody read an article, they're watching a film. And so the same thing applies. You have to know your audience. You have to know who you're speaking to. You have to know what they're interested in. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how short the video is. They're probably not going to be interested because you're not touching something that's important to them.
So do you consult with somebody then? I would think you probably would, right, Rick? Will you consult with somebody like Steve to formulate a sound content-based script that you can then use to produce the video?
Sure. I mean, I would consult with another marketing guy, get a different perspective to make sure that, number one, that the messaging is correct, is congruent with the company and what they're doing, and just making sure that's really clear. I know I've talked to Steve many times about creating videos, and he's helped me a lot in the past in really directing people on what is it you really want to accomplish with that video. Is it credibility building? Is it list building? Is it, there's a whole host of different things, and that's why way before you even create the script or the outline, you really have to know who the video is intended for, and who in other words, who's the audience that you're speaking to. Because then from that, once you understand that, then you can really hone in the focus on the message in the video, so we can evoke some kind of emotion or some kind of reaction or some kind of action after they watch it, right?
Yes.
And you have to define, I guess, to some extent, define the benefits or make clear from the client what the benefits are that he wants from the video, because that's necessarily going to affect both the script and the way you shoot the video, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As you script out the benefits, it also has to be, remember, it has to be congruent with what's the benefit going to be for the customer or the viewer. What's the problem you're trying to solve, and what does success look like after you listen or watch the video and then implement it into your business dealings or strategy or a process that you're trying to address. So all of these things are extremely, extremely important. And I know, Steve, with videos that you've done in the past, you have a process that looks at these pre-production notes in order to really hone in on that message.
Yeah, I do. I spend a lot of time up front before the camera ever goes on, because as we talked about, I think in a previous episode about how to market your videos, what to do with them after you make them. If the video you cut and you look at in its finished form doesn't speak to you, doesn't wow you, doesn't do anything that you feel good about, the chances of you wanting to spread that around are slim and none. So you really have to spend time thinking about what one thing you want people to take away after they watch that video, whether it's a 45, 60-second, minute and a half, 3-minute video. Whatever it is, there's got to be something that people can immediately get off of and say, okay, I understand what the intent of that was, and I'm either going to do something that they've asked to do, go to a website, download something, or I'm going to click, I like it. I'm going to take some action that you want people to take as a next step towards eventually doing business with them.
Yeah, and I guess too, I know you were talking to me a little bit off camera about this, Rick, about following along those same lines, how you're going to measure the success of the video, and that involves something I guess called video metrics or marketing metrics. If I've got that right, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
We talked about this in a previous episode, and for those of you who didn't hear it, the last one I did several weeks ago was on video distribution. So I won't repeat a whole lot of that content, but distribution is a very important part of getting it out to your viewership, right? And there's a lot of confusion to first timers where to distribute this outside of their website, because the common thought is, well, if I put it on my website, everyone's going to see it. Well, we all know that you're in competition with about 1 billion other websites out there, and the likelihood of your video being seen is pretty slim to none. And so unless you're distributing it somehow, whether it's through social media, through specific business platforms, that sort of thing, it's not going to be seen. But on top of that, let's just simplify this thing, and let's say you're a business owner, and you commonly use your Facebook page to promote your business, your service, and place photographs or videos on there. So platforms like Facebook have insights, which really take a look at the analytics, how many times it was played, what kind of audience has been coming to you. Well, let's take even an easier example and use YouTube, obviously. So YouTube, you can see the number of views, how many views it was seen in the last 24 hours, week, month, 6 months, and so on. And so and then there's other platforms, more specific platforms. I use a video-based email for several clients that look at things like, okay, did they open the email? Did they actually click on the video to watch it? Did they jump off at a certain time? So you actually see, if it's a 3-minute video or a 2.5-minute video, you can actually see where the viewership started tapering off because it turns a different color. And if you see that color changing early on, like say, if the whole band is green, then the majority of people have watched the whole thing. If you see somewhere in the middle where that green has turned to yellow, possibly red, well, for some reason, why would somebody stop watching a video, a quarter of a way or halfway into your video? Either they were distracted, but that certainly can happen, but most likely what probably happened is that either they lost interest because you just didn't have anything compelling enough to finish. There might have been a technical problem with the video where the sound went out or the video went out or right, something like that. But it gives you an idea of what's the impact of the message that you're trying to communicate, right? And then if you look at these analytics, then you know how to tweak it and make it better based on the results of your last video. So you can just continually get better and better and better as you do more and more videos out there. And it's a must when it comes to video marketing. So you know how to really get a feel for the efficiency, the impact, of the message that you're getting out there.
Well, let's take a practical example and tell me the difference between, most people I've always heard say, okay, the video should normally be no more than 2 minutes or something around that area. We decided when we started this show to not only make it available on audio, Rick and Steve, but also to make it available on our own platform, our own website, so people could actually watch it, because we wanted more viewership than just available on Blog Talk Radio. Okay, so now we have a 20 to 30 minute video in effect that gets a message of some sort across to the viewer. How do you make a video, how do you sustain a video that's going to be 20 minutes long and get a viewer to pay attention versus the typical 2-minute that you would normally do? What's the distinctions?
Well, this is a totally different format that the three of us here are involved with, because it's a simulcast video of education, right? And we do it on a weekly basis. So think of it as I shouldn't say sitcom, but half-hour sitcom, which off-air it can be, right? But
on there it is.
Yeah, but it's a totally different format. What I found that people are more receptive of, especially people on the go that like to watch on their mobile devices, is that short, sweet, concise, focused content in the form of 90 seconds to 3 minutes max. bite-sized videos are much more effective, much more efficient. People will stop to actually watch it and get more out of it. And then also, if that's the case, with the content that you're delivering, then you can do it more often, okay? Because they're small little episodes, if you will, that they can watch. So the difference between what I'm talking about here and the show is really two different things, really.
Yeah, Bill. Let me chime in a little on that, because
sure.
There's a psychology behind this that I think a lot of your professional videographers and other people that produce videos, either personally or for business, have learned to tap into, and it's the whole idea that regardless of how long your video is, and I agree with Rick, I think there's like overall parameters that if you go much longer than that, there's got to be something really compelling. You've got to be a public figure. You've got to be talking about something that evokes a lot of emotion. You've got to be in the process of showing somebody how to do something that just takes longer than 3 minutes. So there's got to be a compelling reason why that video is going longer than that time limit. But here's the thing. Regardless of the time limit, you've got about 8 seconds to get somebody's attention when they first watch that video, to keep them watching it through some duration of the video. That's about how long our attention span is today. And if you haven't grabbed it and gotten them to lock in, then anything else in their environment, their cell phone, their office phone, their email, anything that evokes a noise or a visual change is going to steal that attention away from you. And then all of a sudden, when they get back to you, your video is halfway through, they've lost track, they're out. So it's really, really important when you start off to make sure that people very quickly understand what you're doing, why you're having the video, why they should even care about it.
Yeah. And in this case, they'd care because they want to make a video that either markets them, their business, or both. And I know you might have something to add there, Rick, but I wanted to ask a question I think is on a lot of people's minds, and that is, how do you market yourself versus your business? In other words, do you make a video about what your business is all about, or about your integrity, reputation, personality, or do you simply make both, or are there certain conditions under which you have to choose?
Well, in my opinion, I think it's beneficial for the business owner to make a separate video that establishes their credibility, their why, what, and how, right? And you have an opportunity to do that, and if people buy into that and find that interesting, then you can start educating them through these little bite-sized videos, right? So, I mean, that's typically how I coach people that want to do videos, is that establish a base with an anchor video or a why hire me video or an about me video to really establish who you are, why you do it, and how you do it.
And go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, those kinds of videos work really well for professional service companies. Yourself, lawyer, me, business coach, accountants, architects, people who are intimately involved in the delivery of what the business is set up to provide. But as you start looking at different types of businesses that provide online services, sometimes it's not necessary for you to even be in the video. Lately, I've seen a couple of people who have contacted me wanting to promote using these animated videos. The ones where you have the hand that draws the pictures real quick and it goes to the next one. Yeah. Now, for some businesses, that might be a very creative way to get the message across about what that business provides. If you know that your business is based on reputation and it's based on what you do and what people know about how you are as a business professional, that may not be the one that you would choose. If your business is online and it's an e-commerce business and all you're doing is providing a storefront for people to buy any number of different items within a particular category of products, what you may want is a video that shows people how to use the website.
Yeah, that's all very interesting, and it really boils down to one thing, doesn't it? And that is this is a lot more complicated than simply getting in front of your video camera, getting on YouTube, and saying, okay, I'm going to make a video today.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, because at some point you're going to get a little stale. So how do you keep your content fresh, right? Even if your content is fresh, even if your delivery is upbeat, it's exciting. People like to see different things mixed in there every once in a while, and so whether it's a webcam video or a direct-to-camera video, kind of like what we're doing here, or interview style type of video, a testimonial video, or like Steve had mentioned, there's doodle animations, there's cartoon animations that kind of mix things up, and every once in a while you like to throw those things in to keep it entertaining to a point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know, Rick, you and I have talked about this other video called a B-roll, and a lot of people who put on seminars or webinars or public speak to some degree will put together, it's like a montage of little vignettes of things that you've been doing while you have somebody speaking over the video, providing the audio, talking about why this person, you should go to their seminar, why you should invite them to public speak, or something like that. Yeah. So you really, really have to understand what it is you want the video to do and who you want to see it. And once you get those two down, then the mechanics of actually shooting it, I mean, Rick, you and I have talked about the DIY side of this thing, or you can hire a professional. I've done a lot of DIY, and I really value the professional, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for many of us out there that don't do this on a regular basis and are trying to do it themselves, find that it's more of a time drain, and then you end up in the end maybe not ending up with the best production that you had envisioned in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is all very interesting. And in summary, Rick, what if somebody wants to, let's leave aside whether it's do it yourself or whether they're going to hire a professional. If a video is going to be done by them to promote their business, assuming the equipment is either had by the professional or had by the individual from purchases, what would you say would be the three, if you had to summarize, the three things that they better know before they employ somebody to do a video or to do it on their own?
Yeah, it's. I think the secret is all in pre-production. All right, so that is as easy as outlining the content in the video once you understand who you're delivering it to and why you're doing it in the first place. So, in order to organize your message correctly, create an outline, and then from that outline, develop a script that you think might be interesting to the viewer, and don't be afraid to share that with somebody else. Don't just because you have a nice outline and you turn the camera on doesn't mean it's going to translate well, right? So kind of organize your thoughts, bounce it off someone like me or Steve or another a business person that can listen to the message and see if it makes any sense to them. I do that all the time. I do that all the time with my wife, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it wouldn't hurt.
Well, you're luckier than I am on that note. But this has been a fascinating subject, and what I would like to impress upon people is to try to contact Rick and try to sit down with him, because remember, before you take advantage of all the steps that Rick is going to offer you, you have to have that plan. You have to have the plan even before you write your script. You have to know who you're talking to, and Steve is, I was going to say full of it, but I mean full of content is what I mean. He's full of that content, man. He can tell you what.
Right on the first count too.
That's right.
Yeah.
He can hone right in on the market you want to reach. Rick can then put together everything for you in terms of the proper script and get it out there. And in that regard, Rick, where can we get a hold of you if we need you?
Yeah, you can reach me directly at 949-667-1182 or Rick at r2visualstudios.com. And by the way, for those of you that may not be here in Southern California, that doesn't mean that that I can't help or coach you as we go, because I quite frequently I coach a lot of people remotely, and I will help them set up their, let's say the majority of their filming is at their desk, right, in front of a nice high-quality webcam. Well, there's a way that I can be a fly on the wall and watch them shoot the video and speak to the camera without me being known that I'm watching, right? And so if there's a segment, and basically I'm just watching over their shoulder at what they're watching and listening over their shoulder on how they're delivering the content. And so then they can send the footage and the audio to me, and then I can do my editing magic on it and send it back to them, and or help them place it on a platform that makes sense for them. So
yeah. Well, I think this is a good example of a beautiful tie-in between what we used to speak about all the time on the show, and that is when you start your business or as you're moving through a business that's already been created for a while, you need to have marketing guys, you need to have a good lawyer and a good accountant on your team. I think those are the three critical people you need, and this is just a perfect example of how what Rick and Steve does ties in so beautifully together. And speaking of that, next week Steve will be on talking about marketing and how to make it effective. And I asked the question, how do you know when marketing's effective? Is it simply a matter of measuring profits? I doubt that's the case. We're going to look forward to that next week when Steve talks about that. So, having said all of that, any last thoughts, guys?
You know what? All I can say is you're probably going to end up, if you do marketing with videos, you're probably going to end up having a few stinkers along the way. Usually your first couple. Get through it, okay? Do it. Get comfortable with it. Realize what you look like on camera. Get over it. And so you can start really creating some quality stuff, because when you get one that really speaks to people and it's done well and it just feels right, it's amazing what it can do for your business. You really can't live without it once you figure out the value of it. You just got to get past the whole idea that, oh, I don't look good, I can't do it, I'm going to be embarrassed, because if you do that, you'll never get off the ground.
Yeah, that's right. Just practice, and there might be something interesting anyway. If you may have some quirkiness that may be attractive to your audience that you may not even be aware of. So you just never know. Just practice, hit record, practice.
Right. Amen to that. Well, with that, folks, we'll say good morning, and we hope you have a prosperous week, and we hope you make a lot of money in your business, as we wish you every week. To be candid, and we'll see you right here, same time, same place, next Tuesday for another edition of the Bottle Business Sense Show. With that, take care, everybody.
See you, Bill.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Rick.